What if I told you the front office already made the most polarizing basketball decision of the fall without typing a single press release word? What if I told you the guard board was redrawn on a whiteboard at El Segundo this week, a single name circled in thick marker, with lineups, minutes, and contingencies sketched around it like a playoff scout map? And what if the move everybody debates on social media, the one people insist can't work, actually makes the most sense for how this team wants to win from October to April? I'm talking to you one-on-one, as a Lakers fan who cares about film, structure, and results more than hashtags. Tonight I'm going to walk you through the decision tree that matters. Why a downhill, rim pressure engine still solves two of our ugliest problems. Why role clarity changes everything. How the cap, the locker room, and the rotation can absorb a high-voltage guard without losing the spacing we fought to build. And what it would look like the very first week on the floor. If you value substance over noise, hit that like and subscribe Lakers News. Fan Report is the place where we treat you like an insider and talk hoops like adults. Let's start with the truth. The current roster still needs a self-starter who can turn a dead possession into 2 points or a scramble. When the offense bogs down late in the second or early in the fourth, you don't fix it with a cute set. You fix it with pressure at the rim that forces help, creates free throws, or sprays to the corners. That skill travels in every gym, every month, every matchup. And that's the core of Russell Westbrook's game that still plays at NBA speed. Pressure, pace, and gravity inside the restricted area. The market context is simple. He's an unrestricted free agent at 36 post-hand surgery in late May, weighing NBA roles against a very real overseas bag that pays above what most contenders can offer in October. That's not gossip. That's leverage and a clock. Translation, he can earn elsewhere tomorrow. So any NBA reunion has to be built on a job description and a plan, not a slogan or nostalgia. You answer that clock with clarity. This is the role. These are the minutes. Here's the substitution rhythm. These are the lineups you'll run with. And here's what closing looks like situational. Not automatic. Roll is the entire conversation. The reunion question isn't, is he still explosive? We've all seen the burst. The question is whether the second unit can harness that burst while protecting spacing and turnover control. That means building a bench identity with guardrails, two credible shooters on the floor at all times, a vertical spacer as the primary screener, and a weak side cutter who times the slash the second the nail help commits. The playbook supports it. Early drag into empty corner. 77. Double drag to force the big into a decision. Spain action as the counter when teams top-lock shooters. An automatic flare on the weak side to stretch the low man. You're not reinventing the offense. You're baking in answers that generate paint touches first and 3 second, not the other way around. Defense matters just as much because the risk is real. At his best, Russ is a possession changer. Back tap steals, hit-ahead pushes that create 3-on-2, and momentum plays that flip a quarter without calling timeout. At his worst, he can over-gamble or die on a screen if communication lags. You saw that with rules, not speeches, ice side pick and roll more often with a low tag waiting. Peel switch on straight line beats to keep the ball in front. Late clock switch with a hard chest and an immediate GAN rebound commitment. Tie those rules to a strict rotation so his minutes overlap with your cleanest communicators. That turns variance into controlled aggression. Fit with the stars is the acid test. Your franchise big needs early touch rhythm. Your lead creator manages pace and mismatch hunting. So you don't jam a high-usage guard into long dual ball handler stretches and hope chemistry appears. You stagger by design. Second unit primary with short, targeted overlap next to the starters when the game gets sticky or when the opponent's second defender is living at the nail. Think micro bursts. 2 or 3 possession sprints where his burst attacks a tired big. Then you sit him before the spacing tax accumulates. Let's talk minute math, because it's how you keep promises real. A clean plan looks like 18 to 22 minutes most nights. front-loaded into end first, early second, and end third, early fourth, with surgical overlap when pace dies. That also protects legs across back-to-backs and keeps the finishing five malleable. Closing is earned and matchup based. If the opponent is switching everything and your offense needs a north-south driver to collapse the shell, he can be part of the five. If the floor squeezes and every possession is half-court chess, you lean into your best spacers and defenders. You don't promise the ninth inning to a reliever. You hand it to him when the lineup cards say it's his inning. The locker room math is real, and it's why last time felt heavier than the box scores. Former MVP is a title. Bench engine is a job. This works only if those two facts stand side by side without friction. That means accountability that runs both ways. The staff calls out the wild gamble on film tomorrow morning. He gets the chance to say, "My bad," and fix it without being painted as the story. It also means leadership in the boring hours practice reps with the young guards on screen angles, footwork at the slot, and the subtle art of stealing a 2-for-1 without trashing the shot quality. Health and ramp are non-negotiable. Hand surgery in May means you build a sensible on-ramp, controlled practice loads, real contact in scrimmages, minutes caps in the first 2 weeks, and a back-to-back plan everyone signs. The goal isn't a splashy debut. It's bankable availability by Thanksgiving and upward traction into Christmas. You don't measure this move in opening night headlines. You measure it in how many dead second unit possessions become free throws and corner threes between now and the trade deadline.cap. Structure doesn't have to be a villain if you keep it clean. A rest of season deal with straight incentives games played. Team win triggers, playoff bumps respects a veteran without making promises you can't keep. It also preserves optionality at the deadline if a 3-and-D wing shakes loose. You're buying competence without blocking a young guard when he pops. Let me draw the second unit identity on the board, because this is where fans either buy in or bounce. Identity 1. Pace by design, not by chaos. The first action happens by 20 on the clock. If the defense goes under, flow into a rescreen into handoff. If it chases, hit the short roll and let the roller play 4-on-3 with the corner shaking up behind. Identity 2. Paint math every quarter. 10 or more paint touches per half from the second unit forces foul trouble rotations and softens the coverage on your stars late. Identity 3. Live ball defense. When he back taps or your big walls off a drive, the ball advances in the air, not the bounce. Those three identities add up to 2 or 3 runs a night that flip the bench. Minutes from -6 to +4, over 82. That's seeding. What about turnovers? It's the loudest fear and fair. You manage it with structure. First, eliminate the low-value skip passes by design. The weak side read is a 45 cut or corner drift, not a full-court hero ball. Second, give the ball back to your stars after any 2-possession slippage. Timeout, sub, or a dead ball set that resets the rhythm. Third, accept some mess to get the juice. A 0-turnover second unit that never touches the paint is a losing trade. You want control chaos downhill with outlets, not cautious stagnation. Let's zoom out to the marketplace, because scarcity is why this conversation exists. Downhill guards with the legs and the mindset to pressure the rim in October are not waiting on minimums with perfect 3-ball resumes. Trade season hasn't opened. Be-out season is months away. A free agent solution who can give you 18 competent minutes now is unusual, and that's what makes this window interesting. The overseas alternative is strong. That's the competing timeline. If you believe in the fit, you move while the window is open. The human element matters. The city knows him, the building knows him, and the memories are complicated. That's fine. Second chances work when the job is smaller, sharper, and more honest. Bench engine is smaller. Pace control is sharper. Owning both the good and the bad on film the next morning, that's the honest part. If both sides can live inside those boundaries, the noise fades, then the basketball emerges. Let's address the why now. Beyond vibes. The Western playoff picture punishes teams that punt winnable nights in November. Banked wins protect you from the random two-game skid when the schedule compresses. A guard who turns random Tuesday possessions into free throws buys you rest for your top minutes guys and keeps the defense set after makes. That's not romance. That's math.now to fit with the stars in micro. With the big man, early drag into deep seals to produce high-low if the tag comes late. If the tag arrives on time, he bounces it to the dunker spot and relocates to clear the baseline. With your lead creator, off-ball starts from the corner 45, cut on penetration, then float to the slot as a safety valve if the defense stunts from the strong side. Those two rules keep spacing honest and let the stars be stars while he plays the strengths. And yes, we need to talk about closing. In May, you need 5 roles, not 5 names. If the opponent is switching and you're dead in the mud, a straight-line driver who forces rotation can be the piece that unlocks the final 3 minutes. If the opponent is in a tight drop and you're feasting on pick and pop, you choose shooting instead. That's grown-up basketball. The jersey doesn't guarantee the last 5. The matchup does. Let me put a lens on the first week if both sides push the button. Game 1, 18 minutes, early drag packages, handoff chains, and a hard cap on minutes. Game 2, test stagger overlap with the stars for a 2-minute burst to spike pace. Game 3, raise to 21 to 22 minutes if the paint math and turnover ratio hold. Behind it all, a defensive checklist no die on screen without peel support. No gamble without a chaser behind, communicate switches loud and early. If that checklist holds, the plus-minus stabilizes, even when the jumper isn't there. Why would this work better than last time? 3 reasons. Expectations are aligned. He's not parachuting in to save anything. He's driving a bench unit. Personnel is cleaner. More shooting depth around minimum deals, clearer roles, tighter set menu. Urgency is real. While other options marinate, he can play now with a simple, coherent plan. Those 3 changes pull the heat out of the story and put it back on the scoreboard. So has the team actually confirmed Russell Westbrook? Here's the climax you've been waiting for. There's no public press release tonight. But the convergence is obvious need, timing, and a role that makes basketball sense. If both sides accept a truthful job description and the contract reflects it, Lakers confirm Russell Westbrook stops being a debate and becomes a roster move that adds bankable wins without mortgaging picks or identity. That's the blueprint on the whiteboard. The decision is whether to execute it before the overseas clock runs out. I want your view before I stamp my final read. Would you greenlight a rest-of-season deal with tight incentives and a defined bench role? Or would you hold out for a younger shooter and accept the learning curve? Do you want the second unit to double down on pace and paint touches? Or would you rather lean into low turnover control and live with fewer free throws? Drop your opinion below. I read everything. This channel gets smarter because you pressure test the plan, not because you clap on cue. My concise analysis. If the goal is stacking regular season wins and reducing nightly strain on the stars, a short-term reunion built on a smaller, sharper, honest role makes basketball sense. The guardrails are non-negotiable staggered minutes, curated lineups, defensive rules, and a minute cap while the ramp completes. Do that, and the benefits show up immediately. Paint touches, free throws, easier threes for your shooters, and fewer dead possessions when the bench hits the floor. That's how you turn October decisions into April leverage. If this breakdown helped, make sure you're subscribed to Lakers News Fan Report. Hit the like and turn on notifications. I'll keep you ahead of the curve with quick updates and deep dive these rotations, snap decisions, and how every tweak shows up in the box score. Your comments shape the next video. Tell me exactly how you'd script this reunion, minutes, lineups, and the closing 5.